It's not often that a horror franchise lasts over a decade, but The Conjuring has managed to do just that. What started in 2013 as a small, atmospheric haunted house movie exploded into a cultural phenomenon. And now, with The Conjuring, Last Rites, we're supposedly witnessing the end of the Warren story on the big screen. But is this really the end, or just another chapter waiting to come back from the dead? Because if history has taught us anything, it's that in horror and in Hollywood things never stay buried for long. Back in 2013, mainstream American horror was in a bit of a slump. The market was clogged with endless sequels and remakes of classics that had long since lost their bite. Audiences had grown numb to the same predictable patterns. And then James Wan delivered The Conjuring. It wasn't just another jump-scare movie, it was a carefully crafted, character-driven story based on the real-life paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The scares were effective, yes, but the beating heart of the film came from its two leads, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. Their warmth, their chemistry, and their belief in one another elevated the movie beyond horror. It became a story about love surviving the darkest shadows. That's what set The Conjuring apart. It wasn't trying to outgore the competition or reinvent the haunted house. Instead, it drew inspiration from the 70s style of horror: slow builds, chilling atmosphere, and faith-driven storytelling. The film was terrifying, but also deeply human. That combination was lightning in a bottle, and audiences responded immediately. Suddenly, horror had its new cornerstone. But Wan and Warner Brothers didn't stop there. They saw the potential for something bigger: an interconnected world of demons, curses, and haunted artifacts. Thus, the Conjuring universe was born. Annabelle stepped out from the shadows of the first movie to headline her own spin-off. Valak, the sinister nun, terrorized viewers in The Conjuring 2 and later got her own films. Even side characters like the Crooked Man were being lined up for possible franchises. It was ambitious, and for a while, it worked. Fans were thrilled at the idea of a horror cinematic universe, similar to what Marvel was doing with superheroes. But over time, cracks began to show. Not every spin-off had the magic of the core films. Some felt rushed, others overly reliant on formula. While the universe expanded, it also started to feel repetitive. The scares, once shocking and inventive, began to follow the same rhythm: a noise, silence, tension, and then bang. Audiences could almost set their watches by it. And yet, people kept coming back. Why? Because at the heart of it all, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga anchored the series. Their portrayal of Ed and Lorraine made the movies more than just about demons. They were about trust, loyalty, and a love strong enough to face unspeakable evil. That's not something you get in your average horror flick. Fast forward to 2025, and here we are with The Conjuring: Last Rites. From the title alone, you know this film is meant to be the grand farewell. After 3 main entries and a mountain of spin-offs, the Warren story is supposedly coming to a close. But does it deliver the send-off fans were hoping for? In many ways, yes. The film revisits what made the series so beloved: the balance of intimacy and terror. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are once again phenomenal, their chemistry carrying every frame. Years of working together have made them feel like a real couple, battle-hardened yet tender, able to find comfort in each other even when surrounded by darkness. Their performances remind us why the franchise endured in the first place. But not everything shines as brightly. The haunting at the center of this story is based on the infamous Smurl case, a chilling real-world account of a family plagued by demonic forces. On paper, it's the perfect setup for a Conjuring film. Yet strangely, the entity in Last Rites doesn't pack the same punch as Valak or Annabelle. Instead of giving us a new icon of horror, the antagonist feels underdeveloped, leaving less of a mark than its predecessors. It's as if the film itself knew this, because Annabelle is dragged back into the spotlight multiple times, almost as a safety net. But instead of being scary, her reappearances feel more like fan service. That's not to say the film lacks effective scares. Director Michael Chavez has sharpened his skills since The Nun 2, and he brings some clever visual tricks this time around. Creepy phone cords slithering across the floor, unsettling mirror reflections, and an eerie sequence in a wedding dress changing room all hit the right notes. But even these moments feel like echoes of earlier, more original scares from the franchise's past. And that's the tricky thing about Last Rites. It's not a bad film, it's well-made, polished, and heartfelt, but it struggles to compete with both its own legacy and the wave of innovative horror that's emerged in recent years. Films like Together, Weapons, Sinners, and Bring Her Back are redefining what modern horror can be, experimenting with fresh narratives and unique styles. Against that backdrop, Last Rites feels safe, familiar, almost nostalgic. Still, the movie knows exactly what it is: a goodbye. And in that sense, it succeeds. Flashbacks tie the Warrens' current battle to their earliest cases. Cameos remind fans of the journey they've taken, and the ending delivers a final emotional blow that's equal parts cheesy and touching. It's sentimental, yes, but sentiment has always been been baked into this franchise. Love, after all, was the real weapon Ed and Lorraine wielded against the forces of darkness. But here's the catch: just because Last Rites says it's the end doesn't mean it actually is. Horror franchises are notorious for refusing to die, and Warner Brothers has already teased a Conjuring TV series for HBO Max. Add to that the fact that Judy Warren, the daughter of Ed and Lorraine, is now stepping into her psychic abilities, and you can see the groundwork being laid for the next generation of stories. Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson may bow out, but Hollywood has a way of finding loopholes when money is on the line. The real danger is this: continuing without the Warrens risks undoing everything Last Rites accomplishes. Because no matter how creepy Annabelle is, no matter how terrifying Valak became, the true heart of The Conjuring has always been Ed and Lorraine. Their love story disguised as a horror saga is what made these movies resonate. Without them, it all becomes just another haunted house flick, one of countless others trying to cash in on the same formula. So maybe, just maybe, it's time to let this one rest. For over a decade, the Warrens have taken us through haunted basements, cursed houses, and demon-infested churches. They've battled shadows, faced down death, and proven that even in the darkest places, love can shine. The Conjuring, Last Rites gives them the farewell they've earned. To drag it on without them would be like reopening a coffin that was already nailed shut. The real question now isn't whether The Conjuring is over, it's whether Hollywood will allow it to be. Because while ghosts may never truly stay gone, sometimes the scariest thing isn't the haunting itself, but the fear that someone will dig it back up. So if this really is the end, then let's appreciate what we had. A horror franchise that reminded us fear isn't just about demons lurking in the dark, it's about how we face those demons together. And for Ed and Lorraine Warren, that's a legacy worth resting in peace.